Okay, folks, it's your buddy, Mike Messier. Just saw a wonderful sports based on a true story drama, The Boys in the Boat, directed by George Clooney. So I would say, yeah, it's a good movie to go see. If you're wondering, should I go see this movie? I think so. I think this is a crowd pleaser of a film. So yeah, I think it's safe for all audiences. Good for pretty much all audiences. Uh, I saw a few headlines of other people's reviews and reactions, and there was things that said something like, you know, kind of hits all the marks and kind of your stereotypical sports movie and so forth. And I would say that's probably accurate. I mean, if you've seen a lot of films, anything from I don't know if it's not like anything on the nose. You know, you wouldn't say this is a Rocky movie, although in some ways, I guess you could say that. Or Remember the Titans, although you could somewhat say that. First off, the sport is rowing, which is, I will admit, a sport that I know little about and don't have a particular interest in. I guess, like many of us, I probably think of rowing as some type of elitist, like a polo type of experience, which means it's for the rich, for the elite. Okay? And this movie kind of takes that on because the subject matter of this film is not Yale or Harvard row teams, which I kind of thought that this was going to be about. I thought it was going to be about some yuppie fucking college team, but it's actually, I guess, the University of Washington or Washington State University back in 1936. So I didn't realize all that. And most of the gentlemen on this team, and this is I believe the 1930s were the Great Depression years, folks. So most of the gentlemen on this row team were poor guys, you know, hey brother, can you spare a dime type of people. Our main central character is one of the guys named Joe. Yes, he has a very all-American boy, blonde-haired, blue eyes. And he finds himself a gal, you know, who's blonde-haired and blue eyes. But Joe has a tragic past. His father abandoned him. His mother died young. Once again, as I've said in other reviews, a good way to solicit emotion of sympathy or empathy or whatever the P is to have a dead parent. A dead parent, a negligent parent. Joe's got both. We don't know how much of this stuff in this movie is based on a true story, how much is totally accurate. We don't know. I didn't Google looking up for facts or Wikipedia myself into oblivion, but I will take this movie for what it says in that this team from Washington, college team, was the junior varsity team, which was an unprecedented move from the coach to put the junior varsity team, basically the JV team, if you know how high school or college athletic works, that's basically the secondary team, usually meaning they're consisting of freshmen and sophomores and sometimes some juniors. And your varsity team is typically your seniors with some juniors. And that's how typically things work in that realm, okay? But with this team, for whatever the fuck reason, the junior varsity team had more potential, more drive, okay? Even though the varsity team was doing quite well. So when it comes to a pivotal moment in the movie, maybe 45 minutes in, after we've already recruited our team of never-well-dos, Joe and the other boys in the boat, the coach makes a very ballsy decision to go with the junior varsity team, upsetting the apple cart, upsetting the canoe, and, putting his neck on the line, his assistant coach, his neck's on the line, who actually backs him up in this decision. basically they just had a gut instinct that our junior varsity team, for whatever reason, just has more hunger, more power, perhaps, and so forth. So whenever you have a sports movie, it is good when they concentrate on just a few characters. If you remember, like I said, remember the Titans or other team, even the whatever the fucks, I was going to say not the Mighty Ducks, but the hockey, the Slapshots or Slapshot. Whenever you have a team game, especially, canoeing apparently is 8 guys, and I don't think that includes like the yeller. So there's like 9 guys in the actual canoe. I don't know what they call the yeller. Like, I don't know what he is, the mascot or the fucking guy who talks. And then assorted coaches, another guy who's like the backup guy. So whenever you have all these characters, it's hard to really fully develop all of them. So some of them are just going to be faces, and maybe a line or two. But other ones get developed. Like I said, remember the Titans and all those good things. So in this movie, Joe and his problems with his abandonment father and his little luscious blonde girlfriend and so forth is kind of front and center. Then you have like the maestro, we'll call him, the pianist. You have like a big silent, shy type guy who everyone kind of cheers for and so forth. But he's very inhibited and shy, except when he's playing the piano. And then you've got just one scene where one guy kind of mouths off. He's kind of like in Maverick, the blonde guy who's mouthing off to Miles Teller. But this movie, you have like one little scene like that on a train. But then that guy kind of turns it around. So you have a lot of your familiar tropes. The team has to bond. Our main guy is a guy with a problem. What's his problem? His daddy abandoned him. His mommy is deceased. He's poor. Okay, it's the Depression. There's no work. So apparently now one thing they never really clarified is that these guys supposedly are getting paid money. But I thought college sports back then, the athletes weren't supposed to get paid, or was it all under the table and circumspect? I don't know. Joe does have a scene early before he gets on the team where he's about to get expelled from college because he can't afford to pay his bills. And, but then like he goes and gets on this fucking rowing team in order to pay those bills. But I would have liked to have seen, if I was writing the script, Joe go back to the tuition office and have a little scene where he's able to pay his fucking bill, or the secretary like looks the other way because now he's on the row team and all this horse crap. I mean, it's one of these deals where do people really get hot and bothered over rowing? Where people, and spoiler, they get to the fucking 1936 Olympics, Hitler's Olympics, and everyone's sitting around listening to the radio. Did people, I guess they did. Maybe they had nothing better to do. They didn't have Pokemon Go back in 1936. So people actually sat around the fucking radio and listened to the fucking rowing contest. When they weren't, people back then, folks, the number one radio show was Charlie McCarthy, who was a fucking marionette doll, okay? So people were so hard up for entertainment, they're listening to a fucking marionette doll, Charlie McCarthy, on the radio. Well, how do you know the guy's lips is not moving? You know what I mean? So anyway, anytime you can beat Hitler, that's always fun. We get a little shout out to Jesse Owens. This is the type of movie, where you really can't have cultural diversity, because then it would not be historically accurate. So everyone's white pretty much. They do try their best. There's a couple of scenes in the movie where like they cut to the audience and there's like one black person cheering, so it's like, okay, there's your cultural diversity in something like this. But we do have a little shout out to Jesse Owens, which was nice. It was kind. I had actually taken a facility break. I come back and there's a scene where the boys in the boat are about to go out for the opening ceremonies and they kind of twist their neck, and there's a gentleman that they recognize as Jesse Owens. And this is very poignant. One of our guys says to Jesse, "Hey, aren't you Jesse Owens?" "Oh, yeah, it's me." "Oh, man, you're going to show them. You're going to show those Germans." And Jesse says, "No, I'm going to show the people back home. So take that, America. Ice Cube. So, very good. You know, you feel like you're having a little crossover into a different movie, the Jesse Owens movie, which I'm sure there's been many made of him and his success. But like I said, anytime you can take a little salt and put it in the open wound of Hitler's asshole, it's always fun. No offense, Germany. So what else? What else? I don't know. It's just is it a tearjerker? At times. But I mean, this is the type of movie that is successful because it just gives the people the candy that they want. We want to see the boys bond. We want to see the guy get the gal. We want to see the underdog beat the overdog. There's a couple of people in the parking lot here. I might have to call this short because I don't know if I can trust these fine folks. But basically, this movie checks all the boxes. Now, if you are a cynic, if you're one of these assholes that, oh, that movie was great, but so predictable, you know, it wasn't fucking whatever the fuck, it wasn't Blue Velvet on crack, or whatever the fuck you're looking to see in the goddamn theater, or I don't know what to tell you. Yes, it is very by the goddamn numbers, okay? Very much a fist pounder of a movie, a rah-rah team, USA, whatever the fuck. But like I said, it's in a different era. Clooney, you know, he kind of gets overlooked as a director. Maybe, I don't know, has he won Best Director? But he's done the game show thing, the quiz show, and he's done other movies that were very good. I can't think of all of them. But he's very talented, that George. He went from Facts of Life to a man who has conquested Stacy Keibler, among others. So you got to give him that, don't you? So I will say it's a good movie. I mean, I say, you know, I saw, here's a little stat in fact. If you do go see this movie, and I'm catching it towards the end of its run, it's been out for a couple of weeks now. Here's the little trivia, or the little life lesson for future notice, and I've known this already. If you do want to see a movie on the big screen, which I still say is the best experience, yes, I know you assholes stay home and watch Netflix and chill. Good for fucking you. But if you are going to go to the theater, unfortunately for me, this movie's been out for a couple of weeks. There's also a lot of other big movies coming out. This Mean Girls musical now is at the top spot in the auditoriums. So by the time I've gotten around to see The Boys in the Boat, which it probably has a week left in the theater, or maybe two, the movie, through no fault of its own, because there was still a decent little crowd here tonight on a Thursday night, but the movie's been demoted to like I would say like the D-level screens. Now I'll break this down for you. This theater, I believe, has I want to say a whopping 24 auditoriums, okay? Now you're saying, well, gee whiz, Mike, what's an auditorium? Well, you have your movie theater, but then you have different rooms with different fucking screens, and that's what I call an auditorium. So in a multiplex like this, there's a whopping 24 auditoriums. Now, within those 24, one of them is an IMAX theater, and you might be saying, well, gee whiz, that must be the Grand Poobah. Sort of. Because the IMAX is very nice, however, the seats do not recline. So that's your fucking, you know, the scales of justice, okay? They balance out because the IMAX, with the wonderful sound, the wonderful picture, the seats do not recline. Well, gee whiz, Mike, so what do you say? I prefer the Dolby Digital Theater, which is, I believe, to be equally good, if not superior, in sound and picture to the IMAX. I'll say that it's a six of one, half a dozen of the other, whatever the fuck that means. They're equal or, okay? I would say the Dolby Digital, this one here at least, is equal in value to the IMAX. However, there is a big goddamn difference. You ready? In the Dolby Digital, at least at this theater, you do have reclining seats. So if you're on the fence, like, what do I prefer? Do I prefer IMAX or do I prefer Dolby Digital? Well, the reclining seats does it for me. That's my scale of justice. So I prefer the Dolby Digital screen presentation. To the extent that I haven't seen a whole lot of IMAX movies at this particular theater. I remember seeing Wonder Woman, 1984, which is going back 2 or 3 Christmases. So I have been in it. I just prefer the Dolby Digital, okay? Because I like the reclining seats. And I also like a particular chair up top in a certain spot, which was not available tonight to see a different movie. Not Mean Girls musical, but another one. Some other movie was playing tonight, a new movie. I can't remember the title. So I said, well, you know what? I do want, no, the fucking Beekeeper movie. So yes, I'll go see that, okay, for all those that care. I know my buddy Michael A.J. Norris is concerned for me to see the Beekeeper and give my review, so I will. You can also copy and paste the URLs to these reviews for those of you fine folks who've been so kind to share on your Facebook. I appreciate that. My buddy Chris Anino, Sandy Times, my other friend there. I'm trying to remember her name. I'm just having a mental moment. But the lady whose son I was friends with, Roland's mom, she's very nice. She shares a lot of my stuff. Okay, so why aren't you sharing? All these other people are so kind to share. Why aren't you? Guilt. So what's next? Yeah, so basically the tier system, I would say, in this particular theater, I would put Dolby Digital as the top one. I would say 1A is the IMAX theater. Like I said, probably a lot of people do prefer the IMAX. I like the Dolby Digital because of the reclining seats. I like my particular chair in that theater. So that's like 1 and 1A. Then level 2, in this particular theater, there's a couple of screens that are right next to like the really good ones. Like there's a screen, an auditorium that's next to the IMAX and an auditorium that's next to the Dolby Digital, and those are like level 2. I might even be so kind. There's another auditorium that's like way down the hall and you hook around. That's like, that might even be on level 2 because it's really nice and it's just like another, it's like a really big auditorium. It's not Dolby, it's not IMAX, it's just a really good one. And the last movie I saw there was that Freddy movie, the Five Nights at Freddy, which almost had a violent incident in the theater. There were people yelling at each other. It was very exciting. But typically it's very safe at this theater, in all these auditoriums. So don't be afraid, okay? Then I'd say level 3 is like almost every other theater is pretty good, you know, at this particular venue. Like when I say theater, I mean auditorium. Every other auditorium, I mean the screen, the amount of chairs, the length, the audio, the visual, they're all pretty good, except auditorium, I want to say 15, and tonight I learned that 9. They basically have screens in these particular auditoriums that look a little worn out. A little, what do they say? There's a term that's not politically correct, but it's like well-worn or like dressed wet or something like that. You know, like put up, like I think it's a term for horses, like tied up wet or tied up dirty and wet or something. But basically the screens are pretty substandard. Like the screens just look like they're a little worn out. I don't know if they have to replace these movie screens every 10 years or something, but you start to see like a little pixelation type of thing, where the picture is no longer 100% crisp. There's like splotches, you know, and it's like, did something happen when they put up this particular screen, whenever they put it up, or is it just wearing out with time? And then, have you ever been to a movie theater where it looks like somebody threw their fucking soda, like they threw a fucking 7-Up at the screen like 5 or 6 years earlier and no one cleaned it up? They don't have that here, but I have experienced that in my life. But here, it's just that there's a couple of auditoriums where if I go into that theater, if I get, you know, a movie and I'm like, okay, I'm probably gonna be the only person in this theater because the movie has been demoted to this shit screen, and I'm just going to have to live with the fact that this is not a perfect screen. Like it's still better than watching it on TV, but it's not as good as if it was on tier 1, tier 2, or even tier 3. So the point of the matter is this, folks. Tonight I was in a level 4 in this particular theater. Still good, still a good experience, but just the screen is a little shoddy. Not horrible, but just noticeable to a cinemaphile like myself. So, like I said, if you want to see Mean Girls, the musical, if you want to see The Beekeeper, and you want the very best possible fucking experience, then you have to go see these movies early. You have to go opening, you don't have to go opening weekend, but opening week. Because typically, like, they're not going to have a movie on the IMAX or on the Dolby Digital for just 2 or 3 nights over the weekend. You still have that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of the next week. Typically, these movies turn over on Thursday and sometimes Friday, but oftentimes now they jumpstart their weekend on Thursday. Sometimes even Wednesday you get some sneaks. I think there was a sneak preview of the musical of Mean Girls Wednesday night. Now, that's a thing that a lot of people are probably getting all hot and bothered by. I'll tell you a little secret. I thought the original Mean Girls was kind of mid, as they say, as the kids say, kind of average. Like, I don't think the Mean Girls of whenever the fuck, 2005, I thought that kind of wasn't as good as Clueless, and I certainly don't think Clueless was as good as Fast Times at Ridgemont High. So, there you go. Now, some other asshole might say, well, Fast Times at Ridgemont High was not as good as American fucking, whatever the fuck. The one with Ron Howard and all those assholes. Not American Hustle, not American Gigolo, but the other one. Like the movie of that time, the high school kids. American, whatever what was that called? Graffiti. Thank you. Why am I thanking you? I'm the one that thought of it. I'm just thanking myself. American Graffiti. Then you have Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Then you have Mean Girls. Then you have, no, God, fuck. First you have American Graffiti. Then you have Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Then you have Clueless. Then you have Mean Girls. Well, what about American Pie? So first you have American Graffiti. Then you have Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Then you have American Pie. Then you have Mean Girls. Then you have, God, I forgot Clueless this time. So first you have American Graffiti. Then you have, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Then you have, is this fuck behind me? What's this asshole doing? This is a strange fuck, like, blocking me in. Is this a security person or what? What are they doing? Strange. Are they going to come kill me? There's a person blocking my car. Are they going to move anytime soon? Are they going to move? There's a strange individual blocking my vehicle. What are they doing? Are they going to leave? Is it a security person? Who is it? Who is this strange, creepy asshole? Just some weird fuck. God in heaven. Just like sitting behind me for like 10 fucking minutes. Everywhere you go, there's a fucking asshole in the world. And sometimes there's more than one, and often there is. All right, so what were we saying here? First, there was American Graffiti. Then there was Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Then there was American Pie. Then there was Mean Girls. Then there was, I forgot Clueless. Just I can't get this straight. First there was American Graffiti. Then there was Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Then there was American Pie. Then there was, I forgot Clueless again, because Clueless comes before American Pie by 4 years. So first there was American Graffiti. Then there was Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Then there was Clueless. Then there was American Pie. Then there was Mean Girls. Then now we have Mean Girls the musical. All these weirdos here tonight. Mall security. Wow. Don't want to mess with that asshole. So anyway, the point is, all these teenage romps. I just think Mean Girls, to me, I saw it, the original, it's not bad. It's a star-making vehicle for Lindsay Lohan, although she had already done some big things. I don't know. I don't think I give a shit, to be quite frank. So anyway, boys in the fucking boat, go see a goddamn movie, go enjoy the cinema. I think I'm going to get the fuck out of here. There's just a weird tension in the air tonight. I can feel it, Phil Collins. I can feel the tension. I also had an interesting scenario. I'm a little bit perturbed. I had this eBay encounter with some asshole who was very upset about the way that his book was received. Like, I'm the goddamn post office. I gave this flying fuck a full refund of his purchase, so I get nothing out of this deal. And now this goddamn weirdo has sent me a package in the mail. Now, I felt the package. It does not feel like he sent me my item back. I just, because it's not in there. And I have not opened this weirdo's package. And I'm considering going to law enforcement and the eBay people to see what should be done about this. Because I know that there's creeps in the goddamn world that will send you some type of poison or whatever the fuck. Now, you might be saying, well, gee whiz, Mike, are you exaggerating? Well, look, you never know with these assholes, okay? So, I mean, this individual, I gave him his goddamn money back. So what the fuck is he sending me? He's not sending me a fucking rose. He's obviously upset because his precious little book got bent to the goddamn post office machine. Like, that's my fucking fault. So now I have this wonderful mystery. Did this guy send me like talcum powder, cyanide? What did this weirdo send me in the goddamn mail? So I don't think I'm going to open it. I think the winning thing to do is to throw it in the goddamn trash can. So whether he sent me an apology or he's sending me a refund of my refund to him, or it's probably some type of weird cryptic thing. Did he defecate in a goddamn envelope and send it to me? What did this weirdo do, for Christ's sakes? Well, whatever he fucking did, I'm either going to call the authorities and have them examine this package before any of us open it. I don't know. If any of you assholes have a clue, please chime in. What do we do about this bizarre scenario? I refunded this fuck, and now he's sending me a goddamn package? And like I said, you might be thinking, well, maybe he just sent you back the item. No, I checked. I squeezed the envelope, and it's not that. So, I mean, obviously this person, who is a male, has got nothing better to do than to go insane over this eBay situation. So hopefully he's okay. Like, I give a shit. I mean, I just go away. It's like, hey, asshole, if you're out there, you got a bent book, go cry in a fucking river about it. But you don't have to send me anything. I mean, if it's a dead rose or if it's a fucking plastic bag full of tears, I don't need it. I really don't. So you're weird, okay? But if you sent me an apology letter, well, thank you very much. I mean, it's just, life is difficult. Somebody cuts you, wear a helmet, asshole. Someone cuts you off in traffic, you flick them off, and then you go about your business. You might see that very same individual at the bakery and let them go in line in front of you because nobody gives a shit 10 minutes later. But this ass fuck actually got his goddamn refund, and then he still felt the need to put together a package and send it to me. So I'm just concerned for my safety, the safety of all involved. If I open this package and I don't know what the fuck. It's not, I mean, there's no living object in there because it's a very small package. So when left, he might have sent me a dead little alligator, whatever the fuck he did. It's been perturbing me. But that's the type of thing that happens, folks. When you try to help society, when you try to do nice things, you get fucked in the ass. So that's just the reality of the situation. Okay, folks, MikeMessier.com. Have a wonderful weekend. Go see Boys on the Boat, or don't.